Hey, so this little introduction you're watching right now was recorded after I finished this album review, but hey, I felt like I had to squeeze this in. I felt like I had to formally introduce this, well, introduction, courtesy of American heavy metal band Hammer. Take it away, boys. Is that not fucking rad, or what? Holy shit, I'm so happy. Thank you very much, Hammer. For time reasons, what you just saw was an edited down version. If you want to see the full version, the link to that can be found in the description of this video. Go support Hammer. They're rad, they're cool. Let's get on with the Unleash the Archers video now. You know, between Incantation, Atramentus, and Primitive Man, there sure has been a lot of death, doom, and or gloom on the Metal Meltdown as of late, so let's switch things up today. Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today, we are looking at the 5th studio album from Unleash the Archers, entitled Abyss. This Canadian metal crew has been kicking around for just over a decade now, but let's all be entirely honest with ourselves. Most of us came to know who they were through Apex. At least I did. It was a fantastic and eccentric slice of Canadian heavy metal with dashes of influences from across the metal spectrum, from power metal, from progressive metal, from melodic death metal. Listening to it, I was reminded of some classic works from the likes of Iced Earth, Nevermore, Sanctuary. I was reminded of some more contemporary Canadian metal from bands like Cobra and the Lotus and Striker. I was even reminded of Joseph Michael era White Wizard, specifically the album The Devil's Cut. It was fast, it was frantic, catchy as hell, and a remarkably well-produced record. Looking back, it was probably one of the best heavy metal albums the year it came out. For these reasons, I was obviously very excited for this new studio album, especially after hearing some of the promo singles that came out beforehand. Soulbound in particular just rocked my fucking soul. Like, if Unleash the Archers had never decided to release this record and only released Soulbound as a standalone release, I'd be more than satisfied. It is hands down one of the most exciting and engaging pieces of heavy metal released in 2020. I'm not even open to arguing this. It just is, and you gotta fucking deal with it. And now that I have the entire album in my hands, I feel more than comfortable telling you that Soulbound is not where the fun stops. Abyss consistently shows Unleash the Archers at their most inventive, at their most enthusiastic, at their most confident, and frankly their all-around best period. Continuing the story of the Immortal and the Matriarch from the band's previous album, Apex, Abyss sees the band quite literally launching themselves into space, not just from a narrative standpoint, but from a musical standpoint as well. This is deliciously over-the-top and melodramatic in all of the best ways. The title track, Abyss, launches itself with such energy, with such ferocity, that it literally does feel as if you have been launched into space with them, with some wild prog metal guitar shredding, some powerful vocal harmonies, and a slew of spacey, otherworldly synthesizers that consistently consume the sound but never overwhelm it. In fact, across the record, synthesizers are quite, dare I say, masterfully implemented. Take, for instance, on the following track, Through Stars, which gives the whole thing a very polished, poppy, power metal kind of feel. Or on the track Legacy, which manages to be a very anthemic cut despite its not-so-subtle extreme spices, almost reminding me of a thrashier yet also poppier version of Anthrax's Breathing Lightning. Across the board, for that matter, the musicianship is just incredible. I don't think the band have ever sounded quite this uniform, quite this tight. And I think even they would agree with that, especially in regards to the latter half of this album, which features some of the band's most complicated and progressive songwriting to date, such as the absolutely massive proggy power metal opuses of The Wind That Shaped the Land and Afterlife, and of course the aforementioned Soulbound, which unsurprisingly continues to radiate with sheer heavy metal power. And speaking of radiating with heavy metal power, holy shit, Britney consistently steals the fucking show on this. The verses, the choruses, her harmonies, her melodies, every single note that emerges out of her mouth is nothing short of incredible. The battle cry-esque shrieks and wails of Faster Than Light in particular are so striking that if you had told me they were pulled directly from vintage Judas Priest, I might have believed you. The closest thing I have to any real criticism here is mostly directed at the runtime. Most of these songs run on for a little bit longer than they probably need to, and would benefit from at least a minute's worth of fat trimmed off. The aforementioned Faster Than Light, as much as I enjoy that number, provides a pretty good example of what I'm talking about. As it goes on, I feel as if it's just kind of repeating guitar solos and choruses and doing this over and over until it reaches its inevitable climax. It still remains very appealing and enjoyable, just not quite as impactful and memorable as it may have initially seemed. It's a lot like a fireworks show in that sense, you know? It's really fun for the first couple of minutes, but after that you're like, let me guess, it's gonna go bang and then the sky turns red. Okay. But, you know, to some extent, that's kind of what a heavy metal album is. It's a never-ending fireworks show. And Unleash the Archers do a great job at making those fireworks as colorful, as pretty, as explosive as possible. And all things considered, this particular fireworks show from Unleash the Archers still leans a lot closer to a Disney World Magic Kingdom-esque production than it does to My Cousin with a box of cheap firecrackers. I feel more than comfortable giving this a very solid 4 out of 5, and in turn telling you that I feel this is their best album yet. It is also their biggest, it is their boldest, it is their most dynamic, it is their most ambitious and creative, and their most polished and refined at the same time. It has their best performances, especially from Britney, and I see absolutely no reason why a metalhead looking for a And I see absolutely no reason as to why any metalhead would not enjoy the shit out of this record. Especially if you've been swimming in the bleak and depressive metal pools that I have been swimming in as of late. Again, following records from Incantation, Atramentus, Primitive Man, I needed an album like this. I needed a little spark. I needed to know there was light at the end of the tunnel. Plus, on top of all that, they're Canadian. What more do you need to know? Canadians know heavy metal better than most of y'all. 4 out of 5, a seriously great record. Check this thing out immediately. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right there so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately, and you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.